The highly anticipated new memoir from President Trump's former personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, is out today. That book casts the president, in Cohen's words, as a master manipulator. Cohen, who pled guilty to federal charges, including tax evasion and lying to Congress, is currently serving the remainder of his sentence under home confinement. NBC's Lester Holt talked to Michael Cohen exclusively. Lester, good morning to you.
Craig, good morning to you. Michael Cohen says he's full of regrets from his 12 years working as Trump's lawyer and, as he says, self-described spokesman, thug, and pit bull. He says he was an active participant in Trump's rise, a man he now seems eager to take down.
I described Mr. Trump as a cult leader, and I was in this cult. And while I was in the cult, I was really refusing to acknowledge that the actions that I was performing for my boss were morally wrong.
In his memoir, Disloyal, Michael Cohen says he wants others to see the Donald Trump he knew. You called Trump a racist. Were you witness to any moments that you thought he was exhibiting racism or used a racial slur?
Yeah, unfortunately, all too many times. We had one where right after Nelson Mandela had passed away, and I talk about this in the book, he asked me if I had known of any country that's run by a black that's not an S-hole. And I said, well, how about America? To which he gave me the proverbial FU.
Among the charges he pled guilty to were federal campaign finance violations, in part for buying the silence of adult performer Stormy Daniels, he says, to protect Donald Trump. He also says he was expected to deny Mr. Trump's alleged affairs to Melania Trump.
And I would lie to her, and I would lie to her at the request of, and for the benefit of, Mr. Trump, my boss. And I knew what he wanted me to say.
You would tell her nothing happened?
And I would tell her nothing happened, and the whole story is not accurate, and I have a document from the individual stating that it didn't happen. But the one thing I can tell you about our First Lady, Melania Trump, is that she knew I was lying the whole time, but she had enough class not to call me out on it.
The White House has blasted Cohen's book as fan fiction, saying Cohen readily admits to lying routinely, but expects people to believe him now so that he can make money from book sales. It's unfortunate that the media is exploiting this sad and desperate man to attack President Trump.
Yes, I've made my mistakes and I have owned them publicly, and I cannot make anybody believe me.
Cohen believes some of Mr. Trump's behavior could one day land him in prison. Have you seen Donald Trump's tax returns?
Only from afar, laid out on a table in the conference room.
Manhattan's district attorney is currently before a federal appeals court trying to get President Trump's tax returns as it examines, among other things, whether bank or tax fraud occurred. You said he would have CFO Alan Weisselberg and me concoct the highest possible number, inflating the valuation of the buildings and golf courses by using the absolute most optimistic comparable properties.
One of the reasons that we were doing it is because Mr. Trump wanted to be higher in the Forbes 500 list. And the way to do it, he would just come up with a number. He'd say, I'm worth $8 billion. I'm worth $10 billion. And our job was then to take the assets and to figure how you're going to back that $10 billion number that he wants to be.
New York federal prosecutors acknowledge Cohen did provide information to law enforcement, including the special counsel's office, but also noted that Cohen's description of those efforts is overstated in some respects and incomplete in others. So does that diminish your credibility, the fact that even prosecutors weren't sure they got the full thing?
Yeah, I'm not so sure that it diminishes anything, considering I believe about 18 investigations were opened based upon the information that I provided, including the need for his tax returns.
Cohen knows readers will question the validity of many of his claims, but he wants us to believe this.
So Donald Trump will do anything and everything within which to win. And I believe that includes manipulating the ballots. I believe that he would even go so far as to start a war in order to prevent himself from being removed from office.
And Cohen refuses, or says he can't say, frankly, whether he is a witness in any current investigation. And he tells me that he pled guilty only because he says prosecutors were threatening to indict his wife. And he says he has just a few days to make that choice, Craig.
All right. Lester, thank you so much. We know you'll have more of that exclusive conversation with Michael Cohen tonight on NBC Nightly News.